Hello again, everybody, and welcome back to Test Flight in the Focke-Wulf 190. And we've gone through systems work, we've got airborne, we've done a whole lot of stuff. Figured some good stuff out here, and now we're on to gun employment, trying to find a P-51 out here in the distance. So, yeah, give me a second to get my bearings. I'm heading straight towards the range. You can see it there in the distance, right below my my engine right there. So I have the P-51s orbiting out here. And if I don't see them within the next 5 seconds, I'll pause and come back once I find them. And as I continue the visual scan for these P-51s that I know are here, I'm reminded of another, I mentioned like during the takeoff portion of the series, that we're doing a lot of these things with one hand tied behind our backs. And it's a little bit harder, or a lot harder in some cases, than it necessarily would be in reality. And I think that visually locating aircraft when you're in close is one of those cases where it's just a little bit harder than it would be in reality. I mean, it shouldn't be easy, but then again, it should be a lot easier. just based on, walk outside and, look around, and just the resolution that you get out of your eye. There's just no way really to replicate that on a 2D screen. So, yeah, for that reason, it's a little bit tricky. I hate using labels because that then again makes it too easy to find things. So right now, I mean, it's just so hard to find that middle ground where it's not so hard that it's impossible, but it's not too easy. And there's my wingman back there, but anyway, continuing the search. I'll be back in a second. Okay, finally got him. There he is out there in the distance, not too far out at all, actually. Okay, so I'm just going to set up and fly towards it. I'm not going to do anything crazy. I don't like air-to-air. That's I think that's a known fact if you're a long-time watcher. Although I do somewhat know what I'm doing, I just don't really enjoy it as much as I do air-to-ground, so I'm not going to dogfight this thing or anything. Okay, so I've got my range dial set all the way down to... Okay, now it's down at the max range that I'm getting any kind of a lead indication or any kind of like a gyro compensation for. That's a long range. That's a long ways out to try to take this thing out. That is about the right wingspan though. So if I just took it up here and take a pot shot, I could reasonably expect to get somewhere close at that range by doing this. Well, not that, but obviously have the paper over the target. Okay, so I'm just keeping the reticle as the same size as the wingspan of the aircraft. Just bring it on up here. And of course, getting in close, I mean, if I were doing this and wanted to assure a kill, I would get in like that and take it out. As I seem to have lost him there, but yeah, I mean, it gives you a huge advantage when it comes to firing from long range. But then again, if you're getting close enough, you can get to a point where it doesn't really matter what range you are, and you really want to get as close as possible to get the most effectiveness out of your weapons when it comes to air-to-air. Even if you do score hits from a long ways out, the velocity of the projectile has depleted so much that it just doesn't carry as much energy, and it doesn't make as much of an impact from long range. So, okay, now let's do the stuff that I enjoy. Let's do a little bit of air-to-ground strafe out here on a target. And to do this, I'm going to set this up, and this is just my technique, I guess. I've got, 10 meters for the span. I'm just going to set it out, set the range all the way out, just so that I have an indication in here, just a guide to go off of. Okay, now let me roll in on the strafe pits. I don't want to gain too much speed in the dive. It can be a little bit tricky, I would imagine, to pull out of it, but okay, I'll just bring it on up and see what we can do here. Okay, that's not too bad. And the key here is finding the point on the sight for a given range and a given dive angle and a given airspeed where you want to have the target as you're trying to strafe it. I'll just come around here, just sit up in a racetrack. I'm keeping an eye on my fuel. I'm just waiting for that aft tank to go down below 240 so that I can ditch the drop tank. The drop tank now, incidentally, is lasting longer than I thought it would. So yeah, the forward tank lasted not nearly as long as I would have expected, and now the drop tank is lasting a long time. Okay, so I'll assume that that's as intended. I make no judgments. I mean, I'll take the word of the... I generally trust that whenever I have a difference of opinion on the way something is supposed to work, that, yeah, generally the amount of research that goes into producing these aircraft is just... it blows my mind. So, yeah, when in doubt, the aircraft, the way it's depicted here in DCS, is probably right. It's going to be right 99 times out of 100 whenever there's a difference of my opinion with the aircraft. So I can believe anything that it tells me at this point. Okay, so coming around for another strafing run. And let's see, airspeed 5, about 490. I'll push it up a little bit. I can get away with a little bit more pressure, a little bit more RPM. That'll help to bleed off the fuel as well. Okay, so I've got the target out here in the distance. Let me try to get this from a longer range and just kind of gauge how much bullet drop that I get. I'll try for about a 4,000 foot slant range shot on this. Okay, good trim. Okay, right about there. I mean, that's way too far to be effective, but that's not too bad. That's more like it right there for a World War II style engagement. And I always worry about ricochet, bullet ricochet, and flying through my projectiles. I mean, that's what will happen eventually if you fire from too short a range consistently, is eventually you will fly into one of your own ricochets. Okay, so got that. Now let me play around with the MW50 boost. Let me enable the MW50 system. And I believe from there it's just automatically kicks in based on my throttle. Okay, so throttle up. Or not. Okay, yeah, there's another switch here somewhere that I'm missing. There has to be to enable the boost. Right there, MW50 switch. Okay, switch on. Oh yeah, you can hear and see and feel it kick in. Now, it comes in automatically once my throttle gets up above the cruise setting. Okay, there it goes. Okay, so I'm just trying to get a feel on my throttle for where it kicks in and where it doesn't. Okay, so throttle max, and you can see the pressure is actually higher than I thought it would be. It's up above the 2 tick marks. I thought normally it would be within those tick marks, but yeah, like I said before, I'll buy that. I don't know any better. I just would have expected something different. But I can see that my coolant temperature is a little bit higher than it has been. I think it's struggling a little bit to maintain that 100 degrees Celsius. Okay, got that. So let me just do some maneuvering. I want to do some maneuvering additionally with the drop tank off. I don't want to do this too aggressively with a drop tank, but I'll just do something like almost a split S. I'm a little bit too low to do that. Just get a feel for getting a mild buffet, once I put too many G's on the aircraft. So at least I have some sort of warning and some sign of an indication other than, just how far back I'm pulling on the stick as far as, how the aircraft is flying, how many G's I have on it at a given point. I don't want to do this too aggressively because I can easily lose a wing if it's anything like the BF-109. Okay, let me put it into a climb and just see what kind of a rate we get here. I mean, obviously it's going to be incredible. I mean, that's one of the features of the aircraft is the just incredible climb rate, incredible acceleration that you get out of this engine and airframe combination. Okay, so if I were sitting up in a dive bombing run, I could go from ground level to a moderate altitude very, very quickly if I want to. Okay, checking fuel state. Still up there at 240. So what I'm going to do is take a little bit of a break here and come back next time and see if there's anything else I want to look at on the aircraft. I might just start to fast forward and only come back and record when something actually does happen. But I hope you are enjoying it and enjoying following along, and I will see you next time. Thanks.